podcast where we refuse to stay stuck and be ripe and rotting. I'm Wade Perry, your host, and I'm here to help you thrive in every corner of your life, whether it's mindset, business, or fitness. Together, we're going to unpack some lessons, insights, and game-changing strategies to keep you green and growing. Today, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our guest, Mark Fittante. He is a military veteran. He's a father of three. He's from the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. He was stationed in Idaho and decided to stay. He recently exited the military to switch to full-time real estate, but I'm going to get a little hunch that you don't really ever get the military out of your system. We'll talk more about that. And in this episode, we're going to explore his journey from military service to real estate, unpack the challenges of the business, and dig into the power of routines, social media, and patience in building success. So with that, welcome, Mark. We're glad to have you. How is it up in Idaho today?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you having me on here. It's not too bad. It's a little cold today. Not too used to that frost on the windows this morning, but comes with the winter time, you know?
So when you say it's a little bit chilly, how chilly was it this morning? Were you in the 30s?
We were in the 30s, yeah, low 30s, high 20s. It was a little cold this morning.
I was going to say, I have a little bit experience there. We're in Denver area, obviously, and I noticed this morning I finished my workout about 6 and it was 33 degrees, and that's the first time that I can remember seeing the 30s this fall. So I'm guessing you're seeing a little bit of the same.
Yes, we are, and not ready for the Halloween trick-or-treating time with that weather being cold.
Are you going to get snow for that?
I hope not. We don't usually get
Good.
it, but you never know.
Well, down here in Denver, it snows about 50% of the time on Halloween, and so we're never quite sure what we're going to get. It's still obviously a little bit about a week away, so we'll see what happens. Mark, let's kick things off with your background. What was your experience in the military like, and how has it shaped who you are today as a parent, but also as a realtor?
Well, when I initially joined the military, I came into the military straight out of high school, and the game plan was to do the 20 years and have a nice little retirement check and, go that route. I got deployed in 2019 when you guys all got hit by COVID. I didn't really know what was going on. My wife was pregnant with our second child, my oldest daughter, and the timeline for coming home was up in the air. I made it home. We gave birth like a day after I got home, so it was a lot. But
Good job,
I made
Mom.
it. Yeah, I made it home luckily. But yeah, so after that whole experience, I wanted out. I didn't want to be missing things like that. I knew I wanted to have more than two kids, and I mean, let alone first steps, first words, all that stuff's super important. But I definitely didn't want to miss the experience, like giving birth to your actual child. So.
Sure. So your life in the military, I mean, you were in for how many years were you in?
7, 4 active, and then 3 active guard reserve.
Okay. So, and right out of high school, no less. So that I'm guessing the military had a pretty heavy hand in helping shape who you are and how you go about your day these days. What have you taken from your military experience in put into your work life?
Yes, definitely being able to be self-driven and kind of motivating yourself when you're not feeling it. We all have those days. Maybe you're sick or whatever. You stayed up too late or something, and you just are struggling to push through it. Definitely one of the biggest advantages of the military. It gave me that path in my mind where I'm able to just kind of make it happen. One foot in front of another, like, let's knock this thing out.
So I'm guessing that discipline has a lot to do in the military, and it also has a lot to do with your daily life now. And when I refer to discipline, I don't mean discipline like someone's disciplining you, but the wherewithal to be self-disciplined, to do what you got to do when you got to do it, even when you don't. Is that fair to say?
That is definitely fair to say.
What do you think the area of real estate that you've learned that discipline is most crucial?
I think honestly the most crucial part for discipline in the real estate industry for me would definitely be staying on track with nurturing clients, both past, present, future. Doing that without expecting them to just go, "Hey, I want to buy a house." Being able to
Sure.
just know you have to do that even though there's no immediate gratification or reward for doing that, if that makes sense.
Yes. It's interesting. One of my coaches is a guy named Brian Buffini. Maybe you've heard his name in the industry, but he likes to say that you're going to wear three hats. You're going to have sales and marketing, you're going to have operations, you're going to have accounting. And you got to wear all three of these hats to run a business. And we like to joke in real estate that you are everybody from the maitre d to the dishwasher, and you got to do everything. But if you think about these three roles, they're all important. But the operations guy and the accounting guy, they have nothing to do if the sales and marketing guy doesn't do what he's supposed to do.
Exactly.
And I'm guessing that that discipline to get up, make the phone calls, send the text, maybe write a handwritten note, that's a big one. That I mean, those
Yeah.
they Brian likes to say that that sales and marketing guy, his time is three times more valuable than the other two. Have you found that to be true?
I do agree with that 100%. And it takes time to get out there. You can't just send out one letter and expect things to just start happening.
No. And so have you it's interesting that discipline comes in a lot of different forms, but is there anything you do in particular that gets you fired up that you're just not feeling it that day? Is it a song you listen to? Is it something physical you do? Is there anything in particular you're like, okay, you know what? I'm not feeling it. I got to get going. What's your secret?
Ice baths
Ice baths.
every day.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's
Well,
super nice
t-
now now that the weather's cold, no more ice. You know what I mean? Now it's just an outside bath.
now it's just cold water. That is
Yeah.
fantastic. So, do you find that that ice bath gets you fired up because it physically awakens you, or is it a mental thing that if I can get in that bucket of ice, I can write my handwritten notes?
Both. I mean, ice baths have been such a game changer in my life, mentally and physically. I mean, what it does for you physically is insane. I'm not sure if you've ever researched it at all, but I mean, it's got an insane amount of health benefits, but also just you feel like a totally brand new person when you get out. It's like, wow, the initial part of this really sucks, getting in, overcoming it, and then when it's all done, you're like, I mean, that sucked. There's like probably not topping what that was for the day at
Sure,
least,
no,
you know?
I get you. Okay, so discipline was a key thing that brought you from the military into real estate, or I should say, has allowed you to transition. Because let's face it, in real estate, we're mavericks, right? We are our own business. You don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks. You don't get health care benefits traditionally from most brokerages. Um, and it's your business. It's Mark Incorporated, right? So if you don't
Right.
have that discipline, then your son and your two daughters aren't going to eat.
Right.
How much does that play into your day-to-day motivation?
Yeah, definitely a lot. Probably the main player, honestly. Because if I was a single guy, man, I could live in a tent under a bridge. Like I could do a lot of stuff. Especially because I mean the military's definitely put me in some shady situations, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So yeah, if it wasn't for my family, honestly, I'd care about half as much as I do.
That's fantastic. You know what? You got to have a why. People like to say that they want to get into real estate because they're going to make a lot of money, and they are misguided because real estate is a hard job. I think you would agree. But
Yep.
as my coach likes to say, there's not enough money in the world to make the job worth it. And so you got to have a bigger reason. And it sounds to me like your why is your family, your wife, and your three kids.
It is 100%. Being able to be there, and not have to be, like you said, be tied down to something or military wise, be deployed TD wide and having that flexibility. I mean, it's a game changer. Yeah.
Okay, so you come from the military that is very regimented, They tell you what to do, how to do it, when to do it, all those things. A lot of your day to day, my perception is fairly scripted. It's yes, there's free time and whatnot, but there's a job to be done. And it comes down the hierarchy as to, okay, this is what the next group needs to do. What was the transition like from military life to full-time real estate, which you go from highly regimented to you have to create that all on your own? And what were some of the bigger challenges that you faced?
I think I had it nicer than most people do. Because the 4 years active duty, like you're saying, yeah, I mean, it was pretty. I knew when I was going to be in there, and I knew when I was going to be leaving. I knew what I had to do. That made sense. And then the 3 years where I was honor guard and I was doing funerals and retirements and all that stuff, it was kind of more so like an office job. I would be sitting at a desk a lot of the time. Sometimes I'd have to go do a funeral. Sometimes I'd do this, and it was kind of not as strict. So I kind of got
Okay.
a nice little break out of it, if that makes sense.
So
But
you got to tiptoe into the
I
freedom of real
did.
estate instead of the baptism by fire, which probably would have been a lot harder.
Yes. Yeah, I got lucky on it, I think.
So what do you think what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced moving from military life to real estate life?
I mean, you already named it. Nobody tells you what to do. And especially coming in, I mean, when you're new, you really new for a couple years. I'm still new. I've been licensed for 3 years. That's brand new, and I'm still learning new things I can market, new ways I can talk to people, new things I can implement every single day. So the hardest part is just finding good, worth it information. Because there's tons. You go on the internet, look it up. Hey, what can I do? And everybody's trying to grab your money in some way, shape, or form. And
Hmm.
so just learning to be able to steer away from stuff and like, no, there's other realtors. You're all playing in the same sandbox here. Like you can talk to people, make relationships and learn from other people instead of only using some guy that's charging you $200 online to like, here's the secret. You know what I mean? So watch out for the money grabs for anybody getting into the industry.
I think that is very, very sound advice from a guy that's been there for the last 3 years with his eyes wide open, looking for the magic bullet, the silver bullet, if you will. And at the end of the day, yes, there are tips, yes, there are tricks, there's ways to become more efficient, et cetera. But at the end of the day, this is a business that requires a lot of work, a lot of effort. And the thing that I'm most impressed about you so far in this conversation is that you are always trying to learn. You're trying to figure it out. You're not just sitting back letting it come to you. You're going out trying to find it, and that is going to serve you very, very well, Mark, for a long, long time. I've been in this 17 years, and I'm going to tell you that I am still learning. In fact, tomorrow I'm going down to EXPCon in Miami, Florida for 4 days, and I will probably have blisters on my fingertips from typing for 8, 9 hours a day, and I will pick up literally no less than a dozen nuggets, and I'll be happy to share them with you when I get back. But never stop learning. That is a big one for you. Um,
Yeah.
so when you break down the pros and cons of working part time in real estate versus full time in real estate, what was it that was there a moment, an epiphany moment, a light bulb moment where you said, I'm not going to be part time anymore. I am all in. Push the chips to the middle. Shoot them. Smoke them if you got them. We're doing this full time. Was there a moment? Was there something that was a catalyst?
I think the biggest thing is, and I mean, I don't care what your personality is, but I think at the end of the day, for the most part, it gets difficult. You get nerve. Most people are employees. That's just how it goes. Most people get a job. That's how all of us were pretty much taught to do things. So when you go from you're gonna get paid as long as you show up to even if you show up, you might not get paid. If you have that option to opt out when you're part-time because you have this job and things are getting hard, they're not going your way, maybe somebody just canceled on you, you got fired, whatever, you can opt out. You can, nope, I don't want to do real estate, I'll go back to the job. And that's what I found
Mhm.
myself doing in 2021 was, I had a deal or two and I was like, this is a slow start, I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know where to learn from, and I was just frustrated. I was like, don't need it. I've got this. I'll just do this.
So that part-time really kind of, are you familiar with the slogan "Burn the ships"?
I'm familiar with a similar slogan. Yeah.
Okay. And basically, this was Cortez, and he's conquering the Incas, I believe, and they sail into harbor. They row the sentry boats ashore, and he sends one of his sentries out to burn the ships. And he looks at his men and says, "Men, there is no way out.
Yeah.
We are going to win or we're going to die." And what you did by leaving part time, going to full time, you burnt the ships. You got rid of the excuses, and we got to go. Did your business change after that happened?
Yeah.
And if
No,
so, how
100%.
did it change?
I just what I'm even doing. It went from, yeah, people would talk to me about it because I'd still, like, when I was part time, I'd still put business cards places, what, do the thing, and then people would like bring it up, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm trying it out, or something along those lines. It was never, no, I'm a real estate agent, like, whatever, and it's changed so much in the fact that everybody I bump into, like, somehow I'll find a way where not force it into a conversation, but we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. So now you just talk about it every single day. You go from not having to it's basically, I mean, 24/7. You wake up, what's on MLS, what's new, send this to a couple people. I think you might like this. And that's, I mean, you just know, like, what's going on, what's new, what's happening, everything. You're just always talking with people. That's the main changer, I think.
Well, you don't have anything else to go talk about. This is all you got. It's like,
This is what I
okay,
got.
here we go. Well, and also,
Exactly.
did it shift you from a mindset to a business owner where I've got to talk about real estate in order to get business?
Yes, it did 100%. Because again, birth of boats. So it's like I don't have a plan B, Plan A's got to work. And if this is an
Exactly.
option to make plan A work, we'll make it happen.
So when you were part time and you had some of your phases you just brought up were, yeah, I'm trying it out, I'm doing that. And it wasn't really a committed type of statement. It wasn't a statement of confidence and boldness. 6 months to a year after you made the decision to go full time, did you notice yourself telling people that you were a realtor in a different tone? And did you notice people handling you differently when you did?
Yeah. People, my friends and family come to me for advice on stuff. So that's, I mean, you can see the shift.
Good.
But yeah, I went from I'm trying things out to, this is my job. Like,
I love it.
I'm a
So,
realtor. What do you need?
one of the things about the military is that they have standard operating procedures. And you got to do things a certain way, and they do them a certain way because it's been proven that that's the most efficient and effective way to do it. And sometimes you have to be patient with your CO, and but results in the military come from being consistent. Consistent input equals consistent result. Have you noticed, or do you believe that patience and belief in the system and consistency are? Do you think that those play a role in your business now?
Yeah, I think showing up consistently is the most important thing you do in anything ever. You know,
Okay,
uh, I,
so showing up, great phrase. How do you show up when you're not motivated? How do you show up when you just it's a tough day?
that's what I mean. First off, you hit the ice bath. I'm telling anybody who listens, gotta hit the ice bath. It's a game changer. Um, but when you burn the boats, there's not really bad days. It's just
Sure.
a day that's not as good as yesterday.
Okay.
Showing up, even fitness wise, because fitness is super important in my life. Um, if you show up to the gym and have 10% in you, that's much better than sleeping in for an extra hour and not going to the gym at all.
Completely agree. Your body, would you agree that your body will react, it will respond, it will adapt, and it has more in it than you think, and that your brain actually gets in the way more than your body does?
Your brain gets in the way for everything. Our brains are way too overcomplicated for what we got going on.
I love it. Well, speaking of brains, is coaching part of your business?
I've got a couple mentors. I just started like actually coaching. And the reason why I did it was because there was people that have been in the industry same time as me, and I was like, man, that was again the learning aspect. I'm like, what are these people doing different than me? How is he doing triple what I'm doing? But we're doing the same. We're going to the same places. We're talking to the same amount of people. Everything's the same. And the only difference was like I don't have an actual a coach, a mentor, whatever you want to refer to it as, but I just
Hmm.
didn't. I was just winging it, I guess, you know. So I'm trying that out. I've only been doing it for like a month or so, so I'll keep you posted.
Okay. And so who is your coach? Is it a local
It
realtor? Is it a big national company?
He's a broker in Utah, Dustin Brome.
Awesome. Right on. Um, coaches can be amazing and coaches can be disappointing. You just always have to ask yourself, do they care more about my business than they do the check I'm paying them, if you're paying them? And
Yeah.
I will tell you that here's a little analogy for you. You're probably a little young to remember this person, but there was a lady named Martina Navratilova. She was a women's tennis player. And in her day, she was the greatest female athlete in the world. She would be the equivalent of Venus Williams for your era. Make sense?
Makes sense.
At her height, Mark, she had four coaches at the same time. Four. And yet we in real estate think that we can just show up at a listing appointment and wing it without any rehearsal, without any coaching, when our paycheck is on the line. Oops.
Yep.
It's good to have a coach, and I'm glad to hear that you have one. How do you feel about lead generation or paid lead generation, I should say? Or do you use it? Do you not use it? Does it work for you?
I've got it. I've also same thing as far as, paying for that silver bullet like we talked about earlier. There's tons of those out there too. So also watch out for that. Do your research. I've definitely been burnt a couple times, but no, like the Facebook ads and stuff, I do that. I think that's pretty it's good. It gets you out there, I guess. It's not necessarily
Okay.
people that are usually looking to do something tomorrow, but I don't think those are too bad as far as just extra leads. Maybe you can't host open houses or you can't be out, you're out of town or something. It's nice to have a steady stream, especially if
So
you're new.
in your online lead generation, have you had business that came from it?
Yes, got one right now actually. The lead gen's pretty new. I've only been using it for about 3 months. But yes, no, I've got a listing and a buyer from it right now. So it hasn't been
Not a
it's paid for
boy.
itself. Yeah, it's paid for itself.
It's going to pay for itself 10 times over.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
fantastic. Good job. Have you hit any pitfalls, or are there any tips that you can give to people out there when it comes to online paid lead gen?
Yeah, don't listen. You're gonna call them, and 9 times out of 10, they're gonna tell you no because it's a cold call. That's what it is. They click on a form, they put in info, and then you call them, and they're not really looking for a phone call. Um, but the people want it, they're interested. Don't just give up immediately because they don't want to buy a house today. That's part of the consistency with following up. Send them listings. Make sure you let them know like you're still around. As long as they know who your name is, that's really the main importance of having them. It's just a database. You're not looking to close on these people the same day. If you do, that's awesome. Like congrats. But most of the time you're talking 3 months out. They're gonna keep you fed. You don't want a roller coaster business.
I am so glad to hear that piece of advice to everybody that's listening, because I think that there are a lot of agents that think, oh, I've got this online lead gen, I'm getting these leads, and they call and nobody wants to buy the first day. And then it's a week, and then it's a month, and then they get discouraged and they're writing checks and it's not happening. And you hit the nail on the head when you say it's not necessarily today, it could be in 3 months, but you got to show up and you got to keep giving them value, whether you're sending them different listings or maybe you're shooting them a quick write up on, hey, here's what happened in the third quarter, whatnot. I think you've got the right mindset to play that game and play it well. It's a long game. You might get one right away, but the real riches are going to be as you play that out over weeks and months, quarters, probably even more than a year.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: outside, take away from online lead gen, you've now been in this business for about 3 years. You've got a coach now for the last month. You've done some online lead gen. You've been part time. You've gone full time. So you've been around the block a little bit. You know enough to be able to go where I'm going, and that is, how important do you think social media and YouTube are going to be for growing a real estate business going forward? Do you think it's something that is really important? Not very. What's your take?
I think that social media in a whole is gonna be the answer. And I think the sooner that people are on board with it, the better their business is gonna be in the future. There's a lot of a lot of people my age, younger, that are starting to get into the housing market, and all of them, first thing they do, Google, how's this place to live? YouTube
Yep.
it's Google, YouTube, search engines. You know what I mean? If you put a good SEO
Yep.
optimized YouTube video out there, now they see your face, they hear your voice, they see where you're at. And I mean, you can get people messaging you straight out of YouTube. So it's a
So
game changer.
have you used YouTube in that capacity?
I've started it up. I'm pretty new at it yet. Been about a month of the YouTube, and I've talked to people who've seen my videos. So you know what? I can't complain. People are out there looking at it. So
That
that's a
is
win.
okay. So you've had interaction, communication with people that have watched your videos.
Yes.
Good for you. Way to go, man. That's fantastic. And do you have a particular niche or a particular theme that you like to follow with your YouTube?
I'm so bad at the niches, to be totally frank with you. I just know, like, here's what happens is I go, man, if I was moving here, what question would I have? And then I just go and answer that question. And my mind's always just so sporadic where it'll be like, oh, what's a good neighborhood in this area? And that'll be the YouTube video. And then the next day I'm like, what's some good hiking? And so like it's kind of all over, but I think overall it'll hit almost everybody. People are always looking like, what is there to even do there? Like when I first came to Idaho, I didn't even know, like I forgot Idaho was a place. Like the whole this side of the country. I was like, what is in Idaho? So especially military people are gonna be, PCS and who they're gonna be like, what's in Idaho?
There's a lot in Idaho. There's
There
hiking,
is.
there's fishing, there's skiing. There is so much to do in Idaho. And I believe Idaho will continue to grow. It obviously had a big flourish during the pandemic. I don't know if it's still growing, or I should say, I don't know that it's still growing as fast, but it will grow. It offers a great lifestyle. You have Midwest values of people that are raising kids there. I think it's a place that's going to grow, and I think that the way you're going about it, of leveraging YouTube with, hey, what's Idaho all about? What can you do here? And what's so great about living here? I think you're going down a really good path with that. Let's talk about routines. What's your morning look like? What time do you wake up?
5:30. It's my wake up time. I was a little
That, that,
sick, so I'll be honest. I'm at 6:30 this week because I've been down.
that's okay, Mark. You're 5:30. That's lunchtime. Come on.
What time are you up?
4:30. But I also go to bed at 8:30. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
take it with a grain of salt. You've got a 7 and a 4 and a 2. No, you're not in bed at 8:30.
No, I'm in bed at like 11
Oh
ish.
geez. Okay, I take back what I said. So you get up at 5:30. Let's say you're not sick. You get up at 5:30. What happens next?
Workout basically immediately. That's at least 45 minutes. So I'll work out to about 6:15. Ice bath and then shower.
Okay, so workouts. What do you like to do? Are you a weights guy? You're a hit guy. You're a cardio
I'm a
guy. You're
little
a
I'm a
guy.
weights guy, but I do jujitsu, so my ears are all messed up, so that's nice. But I do martial arts Tuesdays and Wednesdays, sometimes Saturdays if I have time. And then it's just usually weights. So
Awesome. Well, there's a gal named Bianca. She's on our team here down in Denver, and she is a purple belt in jujitsu. And her husband is, I believe, a four-time black belt. And so I don't know anything about jujitsu other than I know I don't want to fight either one of them. But what I have learned is from the two of them is that it takes an incredible amount of discipline, attention to detail, and stamina. Would you agree?
yeah, I was in really well, I thought I was in good shape when I first started it. I was just more a meatball, I guess. I was hitting my peak in bench pressing though. I was at like 315 on bench. But the
Wow.
first week of jujitsu, I was thrown up about halfway through practices. So, you
Well,
know.
there's a difference between being really strong at bench and being strong functionally,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
learned that the hard way.
It's you may see if you ever go back and look at my social media, I stack a half cord wood every winter, and that'll get you shoveling 3 feet of snow. That'll get you, and that's functional strength. That's not.
Yeah.
I love lifting weights. I love yoga. I love high intensity interval training, and I've never done martial arts, but that's real good functional stuff. That discipline and stamina and attention to detail. Do you think that helps you in real estate?
I do. And it's another one of those things along with the ice bath. It also it clears you up, you know. Nothing like almost getting choked out till you can pass out to just really take all your problems away. You know what I mean?
So,
But
okay, true or false? You're having a rough day. Somebody canceled on an appointment. Somebody backed out of a transaction on inspection. Whatever it is. It's just your son gets sent home from school. Whatever it is, it's a rough day. And it's easy in real estate because we're kind of out there on an island to kind of regress, and I don't want to say it's poor, pitiful me, but you just kind of want to gnash your teeth. And then is there ever a moment that you say, yeah, but you know what? Jiu-jitsu is way harder. I got this. Does that ever cross your mind?
it should more, you know. I should
Okay.
probably actually start using that. That's good insight. So I do appreciate that. I've definitely had times where I'll let things simmer for a bit too long. My wife will come in, she'll be like, "You only got 5 minutes. You've been on this for half an hour now." I'm like, "All right, all right."
Okay. I like her.
Yeah,
That's
she's
that
cool.
is so true. My dad used to have a saying, Mark, that in life you have a 1 minute, a 3 minute, and a 5 minute downer. A 1 minute downer, your dog dies. A 3 minute downer, you lost your job. And a 5 minute downer, your mom died. And in reality, you're going to mourn more than 5 minutes for your mom, but it's about keeping it in perspective and get back into life, right?
Right.
So, do you believe that the way you start your day at 5:30, which let's face it, 95% of realtors do not start at 5:30 in the morning. Do you believe that that morning routine sets the tone for your day?
I do. I mean, like I said, this week I've been getting up at like 6:37.
Yeah.
I've been pretty down and out, and it sucked. The days have been tough, man. To just
Well,
calling people and texting. It's like this is now. It's like the days feel like a chore when I don't get up and get a workout in and get everything done. It's like I feel hours behind on the day. Like I feel like I'm just trying to catch up all day.
so if you're coaching your son or your daughters or any other realtor out there, would you be the guy that says, "Yeah, it's hard to get up at 5:30. It's also hard to go to work when you're sluggish. Pick your hard."
I
Would you
would,
agree?
and I would agree. I would say also pick your times. I mean, you go to bed at
Oh,
8:30, I go to bed at 11. But if
yeah. Expand
somebody's
on that. Pick your times. What do you mean by pick your times?
first off in real estate, I think you got to be up before 8 because I mean like calling and stuff, you got to be up before then. But some people just can't get up in the morning, and that's just how some people are. But if you're going to bed at 8 and these people are working, writing offers, doing what it posts on social media, getting stuff set up for tomorrow until 1 a.m. or whatever, they still are getting in, 5 hours after you go to sleep. it's not necessarily you got to wake up at 5:30, but you can't just be comfortable all the time because you're never going to grow like that.
Oh, I love that. Don't be comfortable all the time. You're never going to grow. That is absolutely gold right there. All you realtors out there getting started, need to listen to Mark on that one. He's speaking truth. So when I think about Sun Tzu, The Art of War, did you ever read the book?
I've read part of the book. Yeah.
Okay. Every battle is won before it starts. So if you want to win the battle on Friday, well, you better have put in the work on Thursday to prepare for it. Whether you're printing out materials, you're rehearsing your scripts, you're setting alarms to make sure that you're on time for appointments. Yeah, because when you're in the day, it's game time, right? And that's not the time to get it going. So I love hearing you say that. We're going to move towards wrapping up here. Have there been any moments that have really tested you mentally as a realtor? And how did you get through them?
Yeah, just like we talked about, anytime I have somebody that's I've had a couple words, they either cancel on me or something like that. And it was like, man, that's tough. And luckily I have my wife who tells me, come on, man. You've got other people out there counting on you. You can't just be upset because of this one person that you didn't even know.
You know, I'm gonna bridge away from this topic real quick and move towards your wife. And where I'm going with this is I have found real estate is a family occupation because you're going to work 7 days a week. You may not work 14 hours every day for 7 days, but you're going to do something every day. Might be to be a little bit on Sunday, a little bit on Saturday, whatever it is, but you're going to work every day. And that means that your wife and your children have to be on board. They got to understand that there's going to be Saturday afternoons that you're in an open house, or that you might be at somebody's house for a listing appointment during dinner. And it's a challenge and it puts stress on them. And making sure that your wife is on board, it sounds like it is to me, it's crucial. And what I'm actually hearing from you is that she's actually your biggest cheerleader and your biggest temperature gauge to make sure you're in the right headspace. Would you agree?
I would, yeah. She's awesome. She writes these little inspirational note cards. She'll put them on my desk. Can't really see it's the lighting, but yeah, no, she's pretty cool.
Mark, she is your secret weapon. You don't know it yet. She's your secret weapon. Because all of us in real estate, if you're successful and you've been at it for a while, you've had down moments. And so my next question was going to be, how do you get through them? And what advice would you give to others that are facing these struggles? And they obviously they can't have your wife.
I
She's
hope
taken. Yeah. What advice would you give to other realtors? Maybe they're not married, but what advice would you give to other realtors when they, all of a sudden they do everything right to get the client, to get the listing appointment, they make the listing presentation, and they get the listing, but then the client won't listen to your advice, and now you're on the market longer because they're not paying attention, and it's really nerve-wracking because you need to feed your family. What advice are you giving to young realtors that hit the wall and they meet those tough moments? What do you tell them?
you're not alone. I mean,
Oh, that's
every new realtor is probably in the same, but some people do hit the lottery and they start killing it right out of the gate. That's 0.0001% of them. You are not even close to alone. You gotta, like I said earlier, we're all in the same sandbox. I mean, find one person that you really, really, really trust, be friends, and rely on that person if you don't have a cool wife.
that is really really sound advice. Like I said, I've been at this 17 years. I'm 58 years old. I've been in sales and marketing now for 36 years, and that advice right there is as true today as it was 30 years ago. You're not alone. If you're in sales, you're not alone. You're going to have rough days, but there are people dependent on you, and you got to find some partners that you can lean on, whether it's a wife or it's another realtor or whatnot. Mark, are there any other pieces of advice or wisdom that you'd like to share with everybody out there?
No, I mean, I think just everybody's got to quit beating themselves up all the time, especially new realtors. It's not easy. We all probably join for similar reasons. Oh, I'm gonna have so much more time to myself. I'm gonna make all this money, all this stuff. Like, the beginning sucks. It really does. It's hard. Beginning, I mean, you don't know what to put money into,
Really
but you
hard.
got to put money into something. You don't have a lot of money. You're not making a lot of, like, it's not easy. But I mean, keep pushing through it. You meet a lot of
No.
awesome people, and you can help a lot of people.
So, yeah, I'm going to kind of put a bow on that and we'll wrap this up. You are an inspiration, man. I talk to a lot of people, as you can imagine, and I get inspired by different people. I don't get inspired by everybody. In fact, I don't get inspired by many. Because when you've been around a lot of inspiring people, the bar keeps getting raised. But here's what inspires me about you, Mark, and that is you went from being in the military to being in real estate, two entirely different types of fields. You probably had no idea how hard real estate was going to be, and yet you gave up the part-time label and you went all in. And you went all in when you had mouths to feed that depended on you, and you didn't flinch, and you did it during COVID when you had to wear gloves and a mask and it sanitized things, and it was just weird. And you had no inventory, 43 offers on a house, and you got to learn how to write a great contract. You got to learn how to hold someone's hand when they just lost 5 deals in a row because they got outbid by cash. You did not come into this the easy way, and you stuck with it and you kept going after it because you believed in yourself and you had mouths to feed. Dude, you're an inspiration to me. That is, I'm going to think about you when I'm having a tough moment because I remember when I had little kids, and it was hard. And you definitely you got me juiced, man. I'm really excited. You got me.
Appreciate it.
I want to go do stuff now, man. Um, okay, Mark, I really appreciate you being here. I hope you had a great time. I'm going to wrap this up and tell everybody out there, thank you for joining us in this episode of Green and Growing. If this episode with Mark sparked anything in you, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, wherever you listen. Stay connected to us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, YouTube as well. We're going to keep bringing you inspiring and exclusive content. And remember, life is about progress, not perfection. Cheers to Green and Growing. We look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Welcome, everybody, to the latest episode of Green and Growing. I'm your host, Wade Perry of the Perry Properties Group at eXp. Welcome,